Steve here with Table Rock Tea Company. It is around July 4th, 2023 here on the farm, and this is the perfect time of year to make clonal cuttings of our tea, Camellia sinensis plants. Now, I only make clonal cuttings of very special plants, okay? Otherwise, I like to grow by seed. This plant right here, if you've been watching the channel, is a very, very special plant. It is an anomaly that's probably 1 in 12 or 15,000 plants that really has a lot of horticulturalists excited. So this is the first year that I'm going to be making clonal cuttings from this. It's finally mature enough to do that. We call this Ebbie tea. I'm going to be making clonal cuttings from this, and I'm going to be making clonal cuttings from the Walhalla mountain tea, which is also a very special, probably oldest genetic line of tea in the United States. So again, very special plants that we want to preserve the genetics from, and so I'll show you how we make our cuttings. I'm going to be using, to make the initial harvesting, my Felco 310s. I'll try to put a link to the description. You can buy them from there. These are really good. They're very precise snips, but we won't be using these for the actual nodal cuttings. We're going to be using a razor blade. I'll show you about that in just a second. This is really the first time, the first year that this plant has been old enough to harvest anything, so I'm super excited about that. What we're going to be taking is just the green stem only, okay? So none of the woody stem. I'll show you what I mean by that. Here, right here, you can see a transition. You can see it going from green to woody. And so we only want to take the green. I'm probably going to also avoid right in here. Let me see if I get my finger there. Yeah. So right in here, you see how it's sort of a different shade of green. That's transitional. I'll probably take them from up here instead of down here, okay? So it gives it a little bit of room. So I'll just be harvesting as much of that as I can. Of course, I always have a small bucket of water, and those cuttings go immediately into that. You don't want them at all dry for any amount of time, really. And so now we'll take them into the greenhouse and make our clonal cuttings. I'll go over a few of the tools I have to get started. We do use rooting hormone. You don't really have to, but I had a bunch of it, so that's what I'm going to be using. Like I said, you don't have to do that. Soil-wise, it's going to be the same planting soil that we normally use. However, I would suggest adding sand to it. I don't have any right now, so I'm going to do what I can do with what I've got. And then I use these germination or propagation systems. These I got from Bootstrap Farmer. See if we can zoom in here. Yeah, Bootstrap Farmer. And these are 72 cell. I like the size of those. Really sturdy, really nice and robust. These are trays that we wanted to buy that are going to last us several seasons. So they've got the catch tray, of course, the cells themselves, and then the 6-inch lid with vents. So these vents will allow you to adjust the air, which is good. You want some of them. Let me show you that really quickly. We did some cuttings the other day with some, what did we do? We did lemon verbena and sage. Yeah, so you can see the condensation that's collecting on these, which is really nice. I went ahead and opened the vents a little bit on these to give them some air, but these have held moisture really well. Kind of try to zoom in here, but these have been in here for about a week now. I have not added any water whatsoever to them, so I really like these systems. Again, they're sturdy, they're expensive, but you do get what you pay for in this particular realm for sure. So now that we have that, one final thing, yep, going back here, I'm gonna have a little cutting board and my razor blade, and that's what we are going to use to make the actual cuts. As far as filling this tray, nothing fancy here. I use these scoops. I really like these scoops, by the way. This is by Poly Pro Tools. They're nice because they're flat and they just don't scrape up my table. But I'm just going to take a scoop of this stuff, kind of fill up the tray, let it all fall in there. I don't pack it down. So what I'll actually do is fill it up and then shake it so that it's nice and even everywhere. Whatever is gonna fall off will fall off. Might scrape it like that on the top just to even it out. But like I said, I don't actually pack it down because the watering, the first watering we do is going to do that for me. So then what I'll look for is anything that's real chunky. I'll sort of pick out and pull from the top. Again, you can save yourself some hassle if you pick a better like propagation mix that's going to be a little finer, a little more sandy. But this is what I have, and this is the day I want to do it, so too bad. And that's basically it. Again, don't pack it, just kind of brush it, look for the big chunks. And now we should be ready to make our actual cuttings. Now, before any of you purists get too freaked out, yes, I am using a regular carbon steel razor blade. It is dirty. I will not be dipping it in alcohol. That is a practice that people do. Yes, I will say that is best practice, but the reality is it doesn't make any practical difference in this kind of setting. Now, I can already hear the comments below, but that's the deal. I have not noticed any appreciable difference whether you clean the blade in alcohol or not. I do clean the blades off with my trimmers and blades like this after I'm finished with the job, but not in between each cutting. To show you the part that I'll actually be cutting, let me try to hold it up to my white shirt here. So this will be what we've harvested, and I will be taking what are called single node cuttings. That's the best way to do it. Some people talk about double node cuttings, which means you have 2 leaves. Single leaf is the way to go. That's our experience has told us that over and over again. What you're gonna do is you're gonna make a cut, and I like to do like a 45-degree angle. I don't like to go straight across, but a 45-degree angle following the leaf cut. Okay, so you can see this one went this way, this one will go this way, this one will go that way, okay? And what you can see, I'll see if I can get zoomed in here, there's a tiny little node there of new leaf that's just sticking out. Try to get the right angle here. You want to get above that, okay? You want to get above that little node and make your cut. And that'll leave you with a bit of a stem and then right above that node. And so what that's going to do is give you enough to put in the rooting hormone and then put it into the ground. Now, when we get up to the top, right about here, this one, I will probably cut this. It's either going to be here or here, probably here, just because these are really, really new leaves. So yes, it is technically really 2 or 3 or even 4 leaves, but because of the state that it's in on the plant, that's probably where I'm going to cut those. Now, I don't tend to get really preachy or political on this channel, but my background in education and my career has been in the medical field and in plant sciences. Before that, I studied plant biology at Virginia Tech. And, you know, one of the things that always amazed me was how you can do this with plants, you know, this kind of propagation where you're actually cutting a piece off and it regenerates. To me, if that doesn't scream the evidence of God, that there's a creator, I don't know what else does. And I really have a very difficult time taking anyone's science seriously if they can't acknowledge that, because you should be able to look at any one of these cuttings under a microscope and realize, like, it should smack you in the face that this did not come about by chance. There's no way. it's just impossible that it did. So like I said, I don't get into those arguments. That's not my thing. You're gonna believe what you believe, but I'll tell you, just something like this convinces me more and more every day of the existence of God. After you have dipped your cuttings in a rooting hormone, you are going to put them into your propagation trays. And if you'll notice, I try to line mine up more or less the same. I also try to put the leaves at an angle so they're not lying on the actual soil. That helps prevent fungus and just promotes air circulation and that kind of thing. It also makes it so that the water drops down to the base of the cutting. And so it's not always possible to do that. This particular plant is very odd, so a lot of mine are lying down flat. So you can see some I've got standing up, but most of them on this one are flat. Of course, I put my label there. And then what I'm gonna do is take this, which is our, I did a video before on this, but it's the Propagate. It's the Propagate water fog thing, and we use the one that is 1/4 gallon per minute, and it does a nice mist. Okay, and that's all you want to do on this, is make it so that you are compacting the soil down, but with a mist. You don't want to wash out what you just put into the soil, because these cuttings are really fragile. Not fragile so much, but they don't have a whole lot of footing. And so what I'm doing now is I'm letting the dirt or the soil compact around them, but I'm doing it very, very gently. And that's all going to compact. And I'm going to keep doing that until the whole tray is soaked. Two things to make note of before I put the, the lid on is the first, make sure that the cuttings don't overlap where that lid is going to go. So you want to push those over so that they don't get trapped by the lid. So these are a little close for my liking on some of them. And so I just move them off the edge, because otherwise the leaf will get impinged, and then that'll start to rot. Then the second thing is these vents. Now, when I first start a tray, I close the vents for about 3 days to basically keep all the moisture in there. I don't care so much about air exchange at this point as not drying out the cuttings. So I'll go ahead and I'll put these, like I said, completely on closed versus open. And then as like we get to say a week's time, then I'll go ahead and I'll do this kind of thing where I'll partially open it. And once I feel like the plants can handle that, we're not losing a ton of moisture out of these trays, then I can open up the vent, and then we're looking at more, air exchange and that kind of thing. So we're just going to do that. The lid just goes on like so, and again, just careful not to disrupt anything. And it looks like, it's hard to see that, but I can see it, that none of the leaves are actually impinged. So that's what you want. Tray number one. I showed you the cuttings that we made from Ebbie tea. These are the Walhalla mountain plants that we made cuttings from, and I only have 9 of these plants. These have been in here for, I guess, 2 or 3 years, finally to the point where I can make cuttings from them. One is barely hanging on here, but it has taken us actually 3 years to get these cuttings to survive. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to transplant these to their permanent home soon. That said, even today, I was only comfortable taking enough material to make 7 more cuttings. This is a very, very rare plant and very hard to propagate. So the final results is that we have Ebbie tea. We've got 176 of those cuttings, and then this one is a mix. We've got the only 7 of the Walhalla mountain in there. So yeah, we'll see what our rates end up being, probably in a month or so, we'll know for sure. So there you have how to make clonal cuttings or propagation from tea plants. I hope that video was helpful for you. Again, if that video is helpful and if our videos are helpful, please like and subscribe, and more importantly, put eyeballs on the videos. We are not monetized yet. Hopefully we will be soon, but it's all about the amount of time that you guys actually watch. So if there's something that you want us to make a video on that you're actually going to watch from start to finish, that really helps us out. Let us know in the comments below what kind of things you want us to make a video on, obviously tea related. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned to see what else is brewing here at Table Rock Tea Company.